What's up? Welcome back to the Metalhead Car Show. One of the last couple videos I did in 2023 was looking at cars you could import to America now that we're in 2024. And with America, the rule is you can't import a car until it is 25 years old, and at that point it is fair game. But being in Canada, our rule is only 15 years old, so a lot of those 1999 cars, we've actually been seeing them here for a while. So today I want to go over 5 cars you can now import to Canada this year, now that it is 2024. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Mercedes SLR McLaren. Now you might be thinking, no, you're wrong. I've seen SLR McLarens here. What are you talking about? What I'm talking about is the SLR 722. Now when the SLR 722 came out in 2009, it was actually limited to only 150 models, which is how it made the show display rules. But with the 722, the main differences was it was styled a bit more aggressively with a bit more exposed carbon fiber. It made about 30 more horsepower, and it was a monster. In a straight line, this thing was aiming to take out the Zonda F and the Lamborghini Murcielago SV, which actually made for one of the coolest drag races in history, in my opinion, with the SV Murcielago and the 722 drag racing on Top Gear through Dubai.
This is it. Come on, little Lambo. Ah, ha, ha. Try that on, fella.
Frankly, it's one of my favorite videos on the entire internet. So it's faster, it handles better, it's a bit more aggressive, but what does 722 mean? So 722 actually references Mercedes' victory at Stirling Moss, but that ended up making one of the craziest variants of the SLR, being the 722 Stirling Moss edition. It made the same 641 horsepower as the regular 722, but it was 441 pounds lighter due to Mercedes cutting the roof off. So that made a car that would do 63 seconds, 217 miles an hour, which without a roof sounds hilarious, and being one of the most absurd Mercedes ever built. Very cool, absolutely wild, they look and sound amazing. And if you're in Canada, you can now get your hands on one. Next up, the Pagani Zonda Cinque. The Pagani Zonda Cinque was the super low production, insane Pagani Zonda. It was meant to be the more road-going version of the Pagani Zonda R, but they had some pretty big differences. As the Pagani Zonda R was pretty much a race toy, it wasn't really a race car, but it was a race car spec Zonda you could buy to bring to the track. No part of it was street legal, it was obscenely loud, it sounded fantastic. And unlike any other Zonda or any other Pagani at that, it used a 6-liter naturally aspirated V12 that was the exact same engine as the legendary Mercedes CLK GTR. So instead of the 6-liter V12, the Cinque got the same 7.3-liter V12 as the standard Zonda. But unlike the standard Zonda, which made 555 horsepower for that 7.3-liter V12, this got a bit more. It got 670 horsepower out of that 7.3-liter V12. Also running through a sequential transmission, got this thing to do 0 to 60 of 3.4 seconds and well north of 200 miles per hour. But frankly, I think if you wanted the really fast car, go get a Pagani Huayra. I think if you're getting a Zonda Cinque or even a Zonda, get it for what it is. This thing is a marvel of engineering and absolute beauty. Now, some people who believe the Zonda is just grossly overstyled and just way too over the top and kind of ugly, I think those people should be put into a mental institution, but that's a whole other video. This is one of the most stunning Paganis ever made. I do believe the Zonda is the best looking car Pagani ever made. And the Cinque just brings it way over the top. You can get faster cars. You've been able to get faster cars in Canada for a long time. But I think the Zonda Cinque is just this thing of beauty and elegance that we've never been able to get. Next up, coming from Japan, and I might butcher this name, but the Mitsuka Arachi. Now at this point of the video, you guys are split in half. Half of you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you're scratching your heads towards why I'm bringing it up. And the other half of you have no idea what this is, and I'm just sort of saying shit right now. So, this thing uses a Toyota Camry 3.3 liter V6, which makes not enough power to really be called a supercar, and doesn't quite make up for the looks. So, I've had nothing but bad to say about it. Why am I mentioning it? Well, the reality is, this thing was known to be very comfortable to use. It has an engine that's going to be very reliable, but if you bought one of these and you want to bring it over here and get a bit more power out of it, you absolutely could. Now, despite the 3.3 liter Camry V6 isn't really known to be a great performance engine, we have seen Toyota crank power out of those. Let's not forget, that was pretty much the engine used in the Lotus Evora, which got a big old supercharger and is making 400 horsepower. You can make that engine a performance engine. I just think you need to be the one to do it. And if you can get over the looks for 5 minutes, keep this in mind. Everyone's seen a Ferrari. Everyone's seen a 911. Everyone's seen a Lamborghini. Everyone's seen a McLaren. Nobody here or North America has seen one of those. As much as it might not be the prettiest car in the world, it is an outrageous car, and you are going to get attention no matter where you go with it. So pretty much for the reasoning of, you could actually get a lot of power out of this if you really wanted to, and this looks like something straight out of an anime, it might be worth doing. I don't really think Canada got anything that looks this crazy here, and I actually do think these things are super cool. I know I usually want to get your opinions at the end of the video, but I want to know for this car in particular, what was your thoughts when it came out, and what do you think of it now? Or do you remember it existed at all? Let me know in the comments. Next up, and coming from Australia, the Holden HSV W427. Now, this is a car I find a little bit confusing, because as of 2008, Pontiac was selling the G8 in Canada, which uses the exact same chassis as this car, and we have the C6 Corvette Z06, which used that LS7 427, so we had everything here. It's weird that we never got a variant of this in Canada, or never got a 427 Pontiac G8 in Canada, / North America in general, but that's not the point. So what is this thing? This thing is a Holden, which here was known as the Pontiac G8, but it got the Corvette 427 that made 505 horsepower in the sedan body, which is outrageously awesome. I think not a lot of people know that there was actually a lot of crazy variants of Holdens in Australia, and we just didn't get anything like that here. So it's cool to have like a supercharged 6-liter Holden that makes like 600 horsepower and have a Ute version of it. I think this would be really cool. It was a fairly unique engine. It wasn't really utilized that much. Here was using the C6 Z06 Z28 Camaro. So having one more option, like even a sedan, even a manual sedan with a 427 in it here would be wicked. And last one on the list, coming from the UK, the Aston Martin 177. The Aston Martin 177 was the first line of being just batshit crazy Aston Martins. It used a 7.3 liter Aston Martin made V12 that made a naturally aspirated 750 horsepower. Coming from this super aggressive flared out Aston that you almost never see, and I'm not a gigantic Aston Martin fan, especially at this era. I found a lot of them were kind of looking the exact same, which I don't have that opinion about Aston anymore, but I did then. But this one was the exception. Just due to the absurdity and the aggression of this car, I found this thing to be absolutely wild. Aston Martin only made 77 of these. They were scooped up pretty quickly, and they almost cost like $2 million each when they're new. But now in 2024, you can get one in Canada. But anyway, I want to know, what do you think? Of these 5 cars, which one would you want in your garage right now? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, subscribe if you enjoyed what you've seen. I post on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and I'll see you later.